Welcome everyone to today's Advanced Book Widgets session. We're doing book widgets for language classes and more. So whether you're doing bilingual instruction or English language learners, or even any other world language, we got some great tips and tricks for you in today's webinar. My name's Kate Baker. I am the head of community engagement here at BookWidgets. I am a veteran educator. I have been in education for 24 plus years in various capacities. And I'm also the manager and coordinator of our BookWidgets ambassador community. So those of you that are experienced book widget users, if you've made 100 widgets or more, you may be interested in joining our ambassador community. So I'll share some resources later for that. For those of you that are also new to BookWidgets, just to give you a brief recap, BookWidgets is a content creation and evaluation platform for teachers to support your students' learning process from beginning to end. We have a wonderful widget library and question templates that provide you with 40 different activity templates and 36 different question types, 30 of which are auto-scored, for building a variety of professional and interactive lessons to support your students' learning. We are integrated with many of your trusted learning management systems so that you have a familiar teaching and learning environment. You're able to monitor student progress in real time if you're using that LMS and our live widgets feature, but also with the reporting dashboard, you're able to immediately act and provide feedback on your students' strengths and weaknesses and help them move forward wherever they are. And all of that wonderful data will help you be more efficient so that you can spend less time grading and more time on personalized feedback. So what are we going to take a look at today in today's webinar? We're going to provide plenty of example of widgets and question types, which can be used in various language classes. We got some practical applications and best practices also for evaluation will be demonstrated. So it's great to see so many folks here. I'm also going to start a poll just so we can get an idea of where everyone is at. Love our global audience that we have. And all right, there goes the poll. So it's just a couple of quick questions. Let us know where you're from, where you're presently located. What languages do you currently teach? What language and yeah, languages do you teach? How do you teach? And if you've joined our Facebook group. So just take a few moments. I'll leave that poll open as I continue along. So for today's agenda, we're going to start with some example widgets. We're going to review some of the optimal question types, go over some widget settings, and then just provide you some tips and tricks for efficiency in evaluating your students' work. Okay. So some example widgets. We have these broken up into various categories. The first one being a focus on skills. The second, a focus on comprehension, and then a focus on combining widgets. So first off, taking a look at skills, here we have a group of widgets that are for listening. So if you haven't tried out the audio features in BookWidgets, you need to do that. So here we have a listening comprehension test, but you could think of it as a diagnostic. This could be something that is going to help your students, let them know what their skill level is at. So we have within this particular worksheet, don't be fooled by the word worksheet. Worksheet just means that it is a long scrollable page, whereas a quiz is one question at a time. So here we have an embedded image, and then we have some sound. And I'm going to play the sound, and you just let me know if you can hear it by giving me a thumbs up in the chat.
Good morning. Today, we're going to talk about theme parks.
And I have a feeling I need to reshare my screen because I don't think I checked the box to have the audio. Oh, no, you could hear it. Oh, great. Yay. Thank heavens. All right. Awesome. So here we have, this is a podcast that was, an audio of podcasts, 4 minutes and 26 seconds that was embedded into this worksheet. So your students aren't having to navigate elsewhere. They can hit the play button and then they can continue scrolling down as they listen to the podcast and then to answer the questions from the audio. So here we have a table question, and table question is great for a quick true false activity. And then as we scroll down, we have some additional questions that are multiple choice. And again, just checking to see if they've listened and can comprehend what they listen to. Now, obviously, when you're in the classroom and you have a classroom full of, 20 to 30 students, one piece of hardware you're definitely going to need is some headphones. So if you want students to do this individually, where they can have some autonomy in stopping and starting the audio, you definitely are going to need those headphones. But if you want this to be, more kind of teacher controlled or just make it easier, if you don't have headphones, you, the teacher, could play this audio from your computer, not having students play it for themselves, and then they can just listen along for a whole class activity and answer the questions. And as with all of our widgets, after the webinar, you're going to get a follow-up email with the recording and the link to slides. And all of these examples, you'll see in the upper corner, this green box for make a copy in my account. So if you like this activity, you can, with one button, push the button and add it to your account. All right, let's take a look at some other listening examples. So here we have a split worksheet. And for this particular worksheet, I love this one. This is also a podcast episode on the poop collector. So this is, it's always funny to talk about poop with students, but in an appropriate manner, of course. So here we have an embedded Spotify podcast that's on one side. So again, students have the autonomy to play. And then as you scroll down, you can see the questions that they would answer. What I like about this particular exercise is that the teacher has put in, some timing cues. So to let students know and give them some guidance on when they should pause and where the questions are situated within the podcast episode. And this one's a pretty lengthy one. You can see it 15 minutes. So keeping that in mind as you design your learning activities, and you don't want necessarily the the cognitive load to be too heavy. And also what I like about this particular one is just the visual design. When you go into your widget editor and you hit preview in any of the widgets that you've created, you can access the design functionality. So you hit preview and then you'll see up in the top corner in this other area for design. And here you can change like the background color, you can change the fonts, you can change the size of your boxes, all of that to be able to make things, more visually appealing to your students. And then also we see this question type here. This is an audio response question. So again, talking about hardware, your Chromebooks or tablets or smartphones, BookWidgets is device agnostic, but you will need to have some sort of microphone functionality in order for students to record their voices as they practice speaking. All right, let's continue on. Here comes a quiz. So again, a quiz is just one question at a time. So here we have a video that's embedded in a text question. So what's great about this, again, is your students don't have to go off to, another website when you have it all embedded in here. And then you as the teacher can also enable on the YouTube side if you want closed captions or not. And then as you just click through, we can see that they've had to watch the whole video before they come to these questions. So checking their memory to be able to answer them. And again, this is just one question at a time. You'll see up here in the upper corner is the number of questions. And this is also great for navigating too, that as students are going through, they can say, oh, well, I skipped question 1. I want to go back to it, or go directly to question 6, etc., and navigate accordingly. Okay, let's take a look at a split whiteboard again for listening. So I love split whiteboards and split worksheets because you can do this in the middle. You can drag it back and forth, that if you want, a little bit less scrolling and you want to expand the material that you want to be reading or interacting with. So here we have, again, an embedded video, YouTube video for students to listen to. Then they can also read along. And as they are reading and listening, they can tap into their artistic skills on the other side and do some pictures and imagery on the whiteboard side. And here we have on this whiteboard a background image that students can annotate. So you could use this also for like diagramming, for some annotation practice, in addition to letting their creativity come loose. All right, our next one is a video quiz. So whereas some of those other previous examples required the students to be watching the YouTube video, and then they have the autonomy to start and stop, or would have to watch the video all the way through, our video quiz instead prompts students.
I'm Lindsay. And I'm Marshall. Welcome to Tumble, the show where we explore stories of science discovery.
So you'll see here's this, again, an embedded YouTube video, but you could also use Vimeo videos. And then down here at the bottom, we have some cue points so that when the students get to these particular moments, the question will pop out and it will take them to these, groups of questions that they are to answer, and then they can continue to video. You can also set up the video quiz so that students cannot navigate back or forward. So if you really want to make it a timed diagnostic test that, you want to control the flow, you can do that so that students aren't able to rewind, or they're not able to skip through the questions. But for the purpose of today's session, and just so I can show you, when they go back to video, the podcast continues. And then when they get to the next question, again, it'll pop out again and so forth. And then they can always navigate through to see some of the other question types here. So if you've used some other video questioning tools, I've used quite a few other ones in my classroom space. But one thing I found limiting with them was the question types. I was only limited to multiple choice or kind of fill in the blank, open-ended response. With BookWidgets, you got 36 different question types from which you can incorporate into your video quiz. So some great versatility here. All right. And then, can you link this so we can see how it's built? Yes. And you know what? I'll do one better for you. I'm going to back out of the slides just so you can see that. So I'm going to pop into my account. Nope, not that one. This one. Here we go. I'm going to pop into my account and I'm going to go to my widgets. So here I am in my account. I'm behind the scenes. I'm able to see what I've created, my widgets. Home is a great place for you to go. Gives you some high level information, how many widgets have you created, if you have any student work you need to take action on, any new updates to the platform are listed. We also have blog posts and help links. I'm going to come back to widgets though, and I'm going to make a video quiz from start. So I'm going to hit create widget. I'm going to go grab that video quiz. And then here we are. And we're going to always work from left to right, top to bottom. But the first thing you're always going to need to do, and I'll just name it real fast, is you can't add any questions until you have your video URL. So when you go to YouTube and you grab your video, you always have to have that first. So grammar, I'll grab a video on grammar real quick. Let's see. Okay, this one looks pretty good, at least on a first glance. I'm just going to grab it for demonstration purposes. Okay, here we go. I got to paste my video URL in. And then now, as I scroll down, now I can add in the questions. So there's a few different ways that you can add in questions. You can play the video. So I'm going to get up to, I'll just put it in the middle here at 106. And now you'll see that I've moved the bar and it says add question at 106. And now when I click add question, I can come in and I can pick from any of the question types that are available. So again, all 36 question types are there. So I'm going to just scroll up real fast and I'm just going to pick text multiple choice for the moment. Okay, I can enter in my information for the questions. I can add my audio. So if I want to make this more of a listening, if I needed an additional audio fragment, I could put an audio fragment into this particular question. Could also add an image, a hint, and again, adjust the scoring. But here's what I want to do is go back to the list of questions. So now we see, and I'm getting the hazard sign because I haven't filled anything out for it. But if I go, oh, I don't want that at 106, I can just come over here and I can change it and go, I'm going to go to 0, 0, 0. I want that question back at the beginning. And then it'll change to where that question goes. And you'll see there's that cue point. Okay, so that's adding questions, a real fast, quick tour. But if we go into the general settings, the general settings is where you have all these wonderful things that you can configure. So you can configure the scoring options as you can in any other widget. But here is where you'll have the video controls. So you can disable skipping forward. You can disable skipping backwards. And you can also allow students to modify playback speed. So if you want to let them, listen to things at 2 times speed, you can. Or if you want to just let them be able to slow it down, you can do that as well. Okay. So that's just a real quick showcase of behind the scenes of how to build out a video quiz and where you can access those controls for what you want to enable your students to do in that type of activity. Okay. Let's pop back to the slides. Again, you could also turn games into a listening activity. So here we have pair matching. And this is a wonderful, great update that we've done recently, is you can add audio to any of your pair matching cards. So you can have, click on the speech icon. I can have it read to me aloud. So I'm listening so I can hear it. It can support my understanding. And then I know American football is that and this. Yes, I've made a match. And then you'll see too that the icon in the corner here is letting your perceptually impaired students know that they have made a match if they have some deficiencies with understanding colors. So this is a great way to, again, support them and their learning. So pair matching, you can match text, you can match audio, and you can match words too. You can also build in listening activities into the hotspot image. So here we have a hotspot that I've made, and this is one that could be a whole class activity. It could actually be a station. So if you want to project this onto, let's say you have a smart board, a flat panel that the whole group or the whole class can access, you can invite students up to the front of the room and ask them to tap the screen and identify an example of onomatopoeia. What's onomatopoeia? Sound words. So what's great with this is I've used some Pixabay sounds that this hotspot, all of my hotspots are embedded with the image here. So I have it set up that when they click the sound, they'll hear it, hiss. But then if they pick a word that's not a sound, I have a pop out of, nope, try again. I have some images, some memes. So again, this could be a fun game that, it's not scored, but this can just be for fun for them to try it out. And then in a fun way, when they make a mistake, they can get the meme to try again. So if you use something like Canva or Adobe Express or even Google Slides, this image, I actually made this with Google Slides and then saved the slide as a PNG and then uploaded that as my background image to the hotspot. And one last example here for listening is I have tip tiles. So tip tiles are a great way also to organize information. So we have showing a process, and that when you click on each tile, you can have some textual information appear when they click on the eye icon. And then, or you could have an embedded video and then have them listen and watch the video for it. So this is great for being able to, show a process. You want to take them through it and provide the information accordingly. Yeah. And also love the visual design on this. So we have a background image, and then we have our tip tiles that have their own images as well. So again, such variety with what you can do with BookWidgets. All right, let's take a look at some speaking examples. So here's also a worksheet. So again, worksheet, long scrollable page. This is for, sharing about your pets for National Love Your Pet Day. You can invite students to take a picture, and then you can ask them to speak about their pet. And then you can also, again, embed some audio within the question type for something for them to listen to. And then crazy, you can embed a widget inside of a widget. So you can embed, here's a jigsaw puzzle widget that is embedded in there. Now, uploading multiple photos. Are you talking about the photo question? For the photo question, they're only going to be able to upload just one. So you'll see when they come in, they got to pick a PNG image, and you can't, let's see. Yeah, I can't pick any other ones. I can only pick the one. So it's only one image at a time for the photo question. And then same thing on the tip tiles, each tip tile would be its own image. And same thing for the jigsaw, you can only upload one image to turn into a jigsaw puzzle. But what's great is just, again, being able to embed things inside of other stuff. And if you're curious about how to do that, I'll show you too with the rich text editor. So let's go take a look at a split worksheet. Link a new window. Here we go. So split worksheet, you can embed text, you can embed videos, you can embed multimedia on one side. You can also embed a PDF as well as a web page. Have students, again, be able to drag the center bar accordingly. Oop. And then they can answer the questions. Okay, so here we have, with this particular one, students will work in groups, they'll talk to each other. And so this way, it's not just faces and screen, but they will present to their classmates and to the class. And nothing necessarily to grade here. This can just become a speaking activity that is just collaborative and group oriented. We also got a quiz. So again, being able to embed multimedia items. And again, a quiz is just one question at a time. So here we have the audio response question is embedded in. And if you notice my browser, I'm not getting any like translate this from English to French or vice versa. So again, being able to, if you're doing language classes, determine if you want to allow text selection and text readers. I'll show that off too. Something else. Let's take a look at flashcards. So for this one, again, this is just a practice activity, nothing to grade. You just have students navigate through and then they can practice pronouncing the words. And if they need a little bit of help, you can also embed audio.
Une pêche.
So they could hear it and then they can say it.
Une pêche.
Une pêche.
Une pêche.
Une pêche. And they can practice, which is pretty nice. And then you will be able to see in your reporting dashboard how many times students have practiced the flashcards. So you'll be able to see, the study terms and how long they've interacted with them. So it does give you some actionable data, but again, it's not a grade per se. For another fun activity, I love the randomness widget. This is great because you can upload images, you can upload text, and then you can turn this into, again, a fun activity that doesn't have to be graded, where you can have it be as a station or group work, or even something up at the front of the board. Tell a story about, and they spin the wheel, and they get, a frog playing a saxophone. Let's see, at the umbrella with an umbrella. Maybe he's standing in the rain serenading us, but again, something silly and fun to try out. You could also turn another game like the snowman/hangman into a game. So you can have into a speaking activity. So what sport are we going to learn today? You can have this as a whole group activity where you, the teacher, are projecting this up on the front board and you're asking the class to contribute. What letter do you want to pick? Okay, tell me what letter you want to pick. Type it in the chat. Any letters come in? And then you can, make this a game and have them be shouted out. Nice. Thanks, Couture. Ooh, anybody know what it is yet? An L? Oh, I think we might be getting to the answer soon. Who's got it? One letter left. Yes, baseball. Thanks, Marlene. Nice job. Nice, Katura. Nice job. So again, kind of fun, silly. The random images. This can be fun also. It's kind of similar with the randomness spinner, but in this case, what you're doing is just, you can put one image or you can make two images. So here we have this, would you rather eat a hamburger or some gummy bears? And then they can click this icon in the upper corner to get a new set of images. Would you rather have a hot dog or a banana? Banana is definitely healthier. Did you want an onion or a lemon? Definitely lemons. And then this can be a fun, again, game-based activity. Doesn't have to be something that is graded. Show you another one for practicing speaking skills. This is our before and after widget. So you can give the students a topic. So here's mountain seasons. Use your vocabulary to discuss the different seasons. And then they can, kind of anchor their thinking as they're moving the slider back and forth to see the differences between the image. Oh, I see snow. This is green. The lakes are icy. It's not, although it's probably still cold. So it gives a nice way to, again, anchor their thinking and giving them something to talk about. You could also, guide this and asking the students, what are two differences that you see? What are three differences? Explain with your partner. And again, it's not something that is graded. And then here comes another hotspot image. So this one is a phonetic chart. So we have that background image. And then when they click on each of the icons here within the hotspot, it pops out to an embedded video. Yep, everybody's going to get the recording of this after the session is all over. You got to give me a couple of days to be able to optimize the recording and pull the resources together. But yes, you will all have the recording to the webinar. You're very welcome. All right. Oh, we got to move along here. Let's go check out some other skills. Reading comprehension, definitely an easy skill to be able to do. So we have our Kung Fu Grasshoppers with this reading comprehension activity. Again, text is embedded on one side that students can scroll through, and then they can read and answer the questions on the other side. And this activity you could also use as a diagnostic assessment, if you want to check their understanding. A quiz, nothing crazy there, giving them some directions. And then again, they navigate through answering the questions. You can make it interactive with links and embed any other multimedia within a question. And your question types being auto-graded will save you lots of time with assessment on the other side. And then you could even do a reading activity with a split whiteboard where you have a set of directions on one side, and then they have to annotate the map, reading the directions. And then when they submit this to you, you will see an image on the other side and see what their drawing was behind the scenes. The WebQuest is a really awesome widget to dig into, but it is a little involved in trying to set one up. But it can be a great place if you want to compile units of instruction. So here we have this WebQuest is all about Shakespeare, and we have tabs down at the bottom to navigate to each of the components. And then you'll see that we have embedded resources. So there's embedded widgets inside of the WebQuest. So students don't have to navigate elsewhere. This becomes almost like a workbook. And then they can navigate to these subsections on the side. Again, much like a workbook, and being able to complete their tasks and answer the questions accordingly. They can, again, navigate through the tabs. And when you embed this, this can be a really cool thing to be able to move across. Let me check the chat for a second there. Katura, I'll get back to you on that certificate for differentiation. I got to take a look back at it. It comes with the session evaluation. So you have to make sure you submit the session evaluation. I'll help you out with that in a bit. And then Marlene, looking at, you caught one of the students with questions in Dutch, although you put everything in English. How can you prevent Google Translation? So, yeah. So Carolyn's right. In the browser, you have them turn that off and choose never translate this site. You can also, and we'll go pop into my behind the scenes. Let's go to widgets, and I'm going to create a new widget real quick and pull up quiz just so I can get to some of the materials. So one thing I want to show off is in general, when you come down here to text selection and text to speech. So that's browser based. When you see it up in the toolbar, when Google pops up with the, would you like to translate this? And then when within the widget itself, you can allow or not allow students to do text selection. So text selection just means being able to highlight items on the screen. And then, but if you want to have text to speech support, you will need to enable that. So check the box and then select if you want them to use browser speech. And then this could be actually really helpful for your language learners, no matter what language you're learning. But if you want it to be English, let's say, or you want one text to speech to be in one language, you can choose a secondary language to support their understanding. Okay. And then I'm gonna, let's see, I'm gonna really quick pull in a question, import from widget. Let's see. Yeah, we'll just go to the capitals and I'll just pull this couple of these so that you can see it. Okay, import. All right, so now I'm going to hit preview so you can see this. Okay, so now how does the text to speech work when I go and highlight the words? Now we see this play bar appear. So, and it's giving me both languages.
What is the capital of Spain?
Nope, that one.
Wat is de capital of Spain?
And then I can, that should have changed. That should have translated it. I'm surprised it didn't. That was weird. And then you can also select which voices you want to be heard. Let me go back and check that again. Make sure my settings were correct. Text to speech. I'm going to switch this to Dutch, Belgium. We'll switch this to British English. Preview.
What is the capital of Spain?
Yeah, see, that's reading it as a, hold on. That's reading it as a, in an accent, not necessarily translating it. Let's go look at it this way.
What is the capital of Spain?
Now, that might be a bug. I'll have to go check on that. But that should be translation. It should not be reading it in a with an accent. It should be actual translation. So, but that helps with the text to speech support. Okay, let's plug along. Okay, and get back into the slides. All right, so that's some reading examples. You know, the WebQuest is great for combining a lot of things together. Tip tiles, oh, this is the timeline, is another example you can take a look at and ask students to be, you know, demonstrating that they've read and understand. So it doesn't always have to be answering questions. You can ask them to put things in order and to type information out and organize it. And even playing a game with reading, you know, pair matching, being able to practice reading. So you have quite a bit of words here, and then they can match what they've read to the image on the screen, checking their understanding of a text. So again, a little bit of game-based learning there. Phew, oh my gosh. Okay, so we have so many things here. Let me jump into this writing example one, because one thing I want to point out with this particular worksheet is being able to tag your work with standards. So if you're doing any standards-based grading and standards-based learning, what you can do is, you know, put in a text-based question, you know, link to the standard, and then have students do work that is aligned with that particular standard. And then here I've embedded in both a place for them to brainstorm and a place for them to write their story. And then the last question here is a rubric question for them to self-evaluate their writing. Now, this is written for a fourth grader, so a fourth grade level, kind of young students. So the rubric I have written in terminology that would be appropriate for them. And I actually used ChatGPT to help me, take what was the official rubric that goes with the standards and write it in a way that would be approachable for students. So, and then I get the data on my side of being able to see, well, did they align their work with the standards? So just some things to keep in mind with your instruction. I got one more example I'll show for writing. I love this one because it's a split worksheet, and again, showing the power of embedding widgets within another widget. So here we have a randomness spinner that's embedded on one side so the students can spin. And then on the other side, they can, they read the information. And as we scroll down, we have the spinner. Then we have a jigsaw puzzle. Then we have a mind map, right? And then we have now a text-based question, rich text for them to answer. Oh, I'm so glad you like the standards in the rubric. Yeah. So again, being able to make sure that your students are learning, that they're multimodal, and being able to do that. Okay, so let's take a look at the standards one again. So for that one, again, I've just put in the information from the standards, and then for the scroll down to the rubric question, I have as my row headers, they are the standard, so that when I go and assess the work, I have a little bit of tagging here as far as like what, how well did they do that? Yep. And using ChatGPT is a great time saver. Because, I know that how this is originally written, is definitely more verbal, but to the students, it's like, it's too much. So like, I want to meet them where they're at and provide them with resources that are approachable for them. So, yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, we got to move along. We are way behind schedule here. Oof. Okay, so focusing on comprehension. This is another skill set. So doing some different grammar activities. Again, we got, widgets for everything here. So many different examples that you will be able to go and explore. So those are that. So go play with those. Focusing on comprehension with vocabulary. That's what all of these examples are. And some game-based learning to be able to do with them. Here's a memory game. So, being able to do this as a whole class, you could project this again up on your front board or your front big screen. And now your students can call out to you, pick card number 2. And then they say, okay, pick card 10. And then you go, oh, not a match. But also notice up in the corner, we have the audio.
Cow. Cat.
So if you've included alt text, it will help out, with your images. That's what will be read. Let's see if we can get a match. Oh, cow. Cow is in what number? Do you remember? I think it was number 2. Yeah, okay. Yeah, number 2 and number 15. Yes, we got a match. And again, that audio feature is there in the corner to be able to support their understanding. So that's a nice new feature with that one. Let's see. Bingo board. Here's another idea. Is while you have your digital bingo board, what you can do is have students get up around the room and talk to one another and say, do you know what your first word was? Or in this case of this bingo board, but this can become kind of like an icebreaker style activity where they, go and talk to their classmates. And then they, check the box when they find someone who also has that response. So games are great. Okay, so I mentioned about the WebQuest, creating a full lesson with several assignments and widgets for students complete. So it's kind of like a workbook in a way that you take them on this journey of learning. And then the planner is another great one to use for organizing and combining widgets. So within the planner, you can create this whole pathway of learning for them, that each step is one of the cards. And then when they click on the card, it will take them to that set of instructions or whatever the widget or activity may be. Navigate back. and then continue on. And then as they do things, they can check the box that they've done it. And then you'll see too, there's
Click on the card to read the instructions.
some audio that's added in, so teachers can embed that multimedia resources for students. Also, some additional inspiration. So yeah, I've shown you plenty of stuff, but if you want to go find even more, we have a couple of different groups within BookWidgets. So the Teaching English group is a great one to go to if you're working with English language learners and just teaching grammar, vocabulary, etc. And then our BookWidgets blog group is great. So how do you find those? I'm going to back out of the slides and pop back into BookWidgets. Whoops, wrong one. Here we go. Nope, try again. That's the tab we want. So here I'm going to go, I'm in my widgets. I'm going to scroll down to where it says my groups. And then in my group, what you'll want to do is go to discover groups and you type in the name. We had teaching English. It's also linked in the slides when you get a copy of the slides. So you could search for it and then you could join it. And then you'll see, whoa, look at all this stuff. We got it all broken out for you in, by category. And then I love the use of emojis to organize and just to provide some visual delight to it. So the Teaching English group is a great one to go to. And when you go into each of these folders, you'll see, whoa, there's even folders inside of folders and all sorts of widget activities that if you want to use it, you could share it potentially with your students or use that drop-down menu and duplicate it. And then that goes into your account and then you can make edits and customize it for your students. So groups is a great place to work smarter, not harder, and to just leverage the power of collaboration with one another. So Teaching with English group and then the blog group, which I'm already a member of. The blog group has all of the widgets that we have incorporated into our various blog articles. So you can find something for everything in this group. Lots of activities. So you'll definitely be Alice down the rabbit hole there. All right. So that's just those places to go to. Let's go back into the slides. And then let's take a look at some different question types. So being able to think about what are your learning goals with what types of questions do you want to choose? So the widgets that have all the question types are the worksheet, the split worksheet, the quiz, and the video quiz. So if you want to see every single type of question, our animals worksheet has everything. So you'll see exactly what it looks like. And then if you copy this into your account, make a copy in my account. It'll load in there. When you make a copy, then what you can do, so now I've made a copy, it's in my editor, and I'm just going to name it Kate for now, so I know it's this one. Then I can go in and I can see how every single question is set up. So if I want to do a fill in the blanks question, now I can see how that was set up and what it would look like. And then I can practice creating different questions for my students. So it's a great way to be able to, figure things out on your own without having to worry about messing up in front of your students. So definitely check out that. Again, for speaking skills, pronunciation, the audio response, and the rubric are great for students to self-evaluate and check their understanding. Reading skills, you have plenty of question types to check their reading. It doesn't have to just be multiple choice. You could do word order, you could do matching, you could do grouping, you could do mark sentence, you could do a table question. For listening skills, same thing, because you can add audio into any question type. So you could you can record a little piece of audio, have students listen to it, and then do a word ordering. Put this in order based on what I say. Same thing with table questions. And even with matching, you can do an audio to words or audio to pictures, and then also evaluating their listening skills with the rubric question. The grouping question is great to group and stack items together that are audio, visual, could be text or images. Then when it comes to writing skills and typing things out, of course, the short answer response and rich text formatting are great. Fill in the blanks and then typing in your table questions, and the rubric question type too will also help with writing and spelling. With spelling, you're going to want to make sure that you disable spell check. So I'm going to pop out of the slides again, and I'm going to go into one of my widgets, go back to my widgets. I'm going to pop into that quiz that we did before, and I'm going to go to general. So when you go to general, you'll see here is the spell check option. So it is checked by default. So, but if you want to disable that so that students are not, you want them to practice actually spelling the words correctly, you can uncheck the box and then make sure again that you hit update if you've made any changes to your widget. So that's spell check can be really useful if you're testing spelling. Also for grammar, you can use all of these question types for grammar. The table questions, word ordering, typing in, rich text formatting, single line response, fill in the blank, and even grouping will also work for questions for grammar. If you want to check their vocabulary, the annotate picture is a great one where you can set up input fields where you want them to type in what they're identifying. So if you want them to practice the vocabulary for technical terminology, labeling diagrams, a crossword puzzle is also great for that too. And then, audio response, listening to the words, and then identifying the word for matching, matching a word to a picture. Again, all of these can be used for that. And rubrics are awesome. The rubric, you can really design it in a way that can be really efficient for your students. So not only just using ChatGPT to change the language to make it more accessible, but you can also show you some different examples. Have the rubric embedded here. It is. And with checking their understanding of did you do everything for the questions, for following the instructions? Were you excellent, good, fair, needs improvement? You can change all of this. You can change the headers, and of course, change the criteria that's within it, and even change the colors too. And then have some additional comments for them to answer, and explain why they chose what they chose within the rubric. Show you a second rubric example. Okay, so this one could be a rubric that's not necessarily graded, but again, self-assessing and letting the students have an opportunity to advocate for themselves. So, I know the learning goals, I'm meeting my goals, I'm working towards it. It just helps them to have some understanding of what, an idea of where they're at and being able to share that rather than, in a grade-based classroom where students might be, why'd you give me a 75%? No, it's not about that. It's about them understanding why they get the grades they get. Show you another example. So again, here we have that spin the wheel, the randomness side, and the design is totally customized. And then as we scroll down and keep scrolling down, there we go. Here's our rubric, and they can, again, you can have as few or as many boxes as you so choose to have them evaluate, and then also including a short answer response for them to comment on their self-evaluation. So again, visual design, here we have like the dark background with purple, like, again, you can customize and really go crazy with your design features. All right, I've shown you quite a few of the widget settings already as we've gone along, so we'll recap some of those. So let's take a look. So options in BookWidgets. When you're creating an audio recording of instructions, you can add video or audio very easy in any question type within BookWidgets. So show you this example. So here we have in the instructions, we have a video is embedded in the instructions for them to listen to, and then they can go back and work. And then those instructions can always appear again when they click on the icon. So all widgets have instructions. So you can make it multimodal with audio and video inside of the instructions piece. And you can also limit the number of times a student listens to an audio clip. So if you want to help support your students' understanding, here we have, they can only listen to it 3 times.
Sortez du restaurant libanais et vous traversez la rue. Au bout, vous prenez à droite et puis au carrefour.
So as they've, listened to it more than once, trying to follow the directions, you can, limit them so that they get a certain number of attempts, but it's not necessarily open-ended. Let's go pop into a widget and show you that. So in instructions, so again, instructions are going to be in any widget. They're going to be in the general tab. Scroll down, here's instructions. And then within the instructions, you can type in, you can use some rich text formatting to bold, italicize, underline, and then you can also add in a picture. You could choose an image or from your computer, or you can even find one online from our Pixabay integration. Insert a video and then insert audio. So you click on the music icon and I'm going to hit record. Answer the questions. Now I can listen to it. Answer the questions. I'm going to say it's okay. It's fine. I could download it if I needed to save it. I don't really need to save it. I could exit out and re-record it, but we're good. I'm going to hit accept. And then now we see there's that nice little play bar. Again, download, and we're going to hit preview. And then we'll see here the instructions. I have that audio piece there. Let's go to the questions now. So that's kind of like on a high level. I've included the audio in the instructions. When we go to a question, so I'm going to go to the questions tab. I'm going to go into my first question. I'm going to scroll down and here's audio. So now I'm going to, again, choose a file. So if I wanted to upload something that I've recorded before and saved it, I could do that. Or I can record. What is the capital of Spain? What is the capital of Spain? Okay, it's good enough. I accept it. And then now on the question side, I can limit my play count. I'm going to say 2. They can only listen to that 2 times. And now let's go to preview. And now here we have the play count. What is the capital of Spain? 1 play left. What is the capital of Spain? And then you'll see if I try to play it again, I can't, that it's kind of grayed out. So if you need to limit instruction, that's fine. While I got you right here in the preview, here's those design options. So when I click on design, here's where I can change the colors. So if I want to make it a dark background, I don't like blue. I'm going to make it purple. I can do that. If I want to change the font here, I can do that. Switch it around. And then if you have also trial accounts will only have those limited design options. But if you have a license, so I can go in here to question. I can pick a totally different font, iOS font. And I'm going to go pick, because this one's a lot of fun, where's my marker? Where's the marker? Boop, 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 boop. There it is. Marker wide. And now I can get kind of a fun, different style font. If I want to change the color and I want to make the question like an orangey color, I can do that. Again, really go crazy customizing the options. And you'll see as I click on some things, it gives me this little like box to let me know where is this within the menu. Audio player. I want to make it a totally different color. I'm just doing this for craziness. You want to make it gradient, you could totally make it gradient. And then bloop, there you go. So again, some fun things that you can play with design. Okay, back to the slides. Okay. Those are the audio options. I already showed you spell check, and then your browser language, if you want to activate that or not, and changing the language of buttons within BookWidgets. So let me go back to the widget editor. So when we talk about changing the language of buttons, this is like, you know, if you want things to say, instead of the word submit, you want to say turn in, or you want to say save, you can totally do that. So what you'll do is go back to your widget. We're going to go to language. And then here is where you can make sure that this is going to change the interface. Okay, so it's not going to change anything that you've typed in for the questions, but this language will change the interface. So let's say you're working with other students. They'll say they speak German. I'm going to go to preview. And you'll see now the word question has been changed, okay? But not anything else. So my text is still the same. And then we navigate through. Now it's the, you know, if you're done, you're going to hit submit. So you can do that. Okay, so now within here, so I'm going to back out of the preview view. So this is also, yes. So Marlene, that browser translation, that's here under language. So if you want to allow students to translate from a different language, so let's go back to preview now. See if it does it. I think it's because I'm in preview. Hold on. If I go update, give it a second. I go share and copy it and jump in. Okay, now you see here's that Google Chrome translation where it's like, oh, this is in German. Do you want to change it to English? Ha, look at that. So that's definitely where that is for you to disable your students being able to use the browser for translation. But this is also great if you do need to support your language learners, that if you want them to practice the material in one language and then, but the interface of BookWidgets is in their native language, their local language, that's totally fine. You know, you're able to use the built-in languages to do that. You can also do crazy. So let's see, I'm going to go to English. And then if I want to save as, I'm just going to call it practice. Okay, so here's where you can really go crazy. So now what I want to do is make a, you know, kind of customized language. So now instead of saying all done, if I needed to type in a word in, another language for them, I could totally do that. So here's where I can make a totally customizable language and have it be, maybe it's some of it in their local language, maybe it's some of it is in the language that they are learning. So I can type in accordingly. So that's all under the language settings. So you can really support your language learners with that. All right, plugging right along. I've already shown you the text to speech. So you have to allow text to speech in the general settings. Make sure you check that box, and then you'll get that play icon that will appear. But you can also use some other supporting tools. So if you're in Microsoft Edge in that browser, you can use Microsoft's Immersive Reader, and that's a pretty powerful tool. And then also within Google, you have Google Translate. If you use a Chrome extension, then you can have this little bit more supportive than just that overall browser translation. Now if you're using that Chrome extension, you'd be able to highlight and select certain text and then select what things you want to be, what languages you would want the translation to be in. And then just talking about improving your efficiency and evaluation. So, adjusting your grading approach, that you're also offering feedback, not just points. So how you go and assess your students using the filters, using feedback within the reporting dashboard. So you can grade, student per student. If there's a logical structure in the questions, then it's best to review, each student as itself, if you're as his or herself as you're going through their content. But then if it's not necessarily, if you want to be able to grade all 30 question ones from your class, then you can go do that. And that can really speed up some time with reviewing. If you're taking all of the writing responses and reading through them and evaluating them in one go, then it will certainly save you time. And then you can also, again, filter. So you could hide correct answers. If you don't need to see correct answers, really, you just want to look at the stuff you need to manually assess, then you want to use that filter icon. And then grouping identical answers together will also help you save time. So that if you want to give points to similar answers, identical answers, you can do that. And then providing feedback. I'm going to show you that in a second. Let's back out, and I'm going to pop back into my widget dashboard. I'm going to go to grades and reporting. So here is where I'm going to see all of my recent submissions and if I have any courses. If I want to hide students' names, I can do that when I get into a particular, let's see, parts of the house. I'm going to use this one. So now I can see, by question, what was the average score? And then I know that for this question number 2, I need to go take a look at it. And when I take a look at submissions, again, I'm getting whole class data right here. Now I can sort them, rank them. There we go. Now I got find my people I need to go take a look at. And then I can also go in and grade them. So I'm going to pop into here. So now I'm at the student by student view. So I can see, going through the entire response here. But I can also filter. I can hide correct answers. If I need to download this submission as a PDF, I can do that. And I can also, take a look at the student view. As I'm giving comments on student work, I can enter in a summarizing comment up here. A good job. I can also do comments within the response itself. So if I want to highlight something, if I want to enter in a comment, I can do that. Okay. And let me show you. So this is going student by student that you just navigate across. But if I come in here and I go up to question 2, now I have all of my question 2s that I need to grade. So this makes things really easy that I can take a look at it and be like, yeah, nice, nice, nice. Yep, yep. I'm going to give you a 5 out of 5. If I want to highlight things and say, oh, don't forget a comma, or whatever, but great job. And then, if I want to give partial credit, you know, I can do that. If I want to give 2.5 points, I could do that. So, yep. Lots of things that you can do with making grading efficient. All right. And then the other thing I want to show you is feedback. So providing feedback to your students. Yes, you can do it just as I did on the question, the reporting dashboard. But if we go back to a widget, I'm going to go back into the quiz that I was making. And I'm going to come over to General. In the correction and scoring options, this is where I can customize what scores and what I want students to see. If I want them to see correct or incorrect answers, if I want to see things immediately, that's really useful if you're just doing formative assessments and they don't need to see what's going on. Like you want them to know what's going on while they're doing it, then you can color code. But then here is the automatic feedback. This is where you can give feedback based upon their percentage when they submit the assignment. So I can say if they're 100, wow, awesome. I can add in, again, multimedia stuff. I can add in an image. I can add in a video. I can record some audio. I can even embed a web page if I so choose, or put in a table. I'm going to add some more feedback. I'm going to change the score. So I'm going to say in the range of a 90. Good. I'm going to add some more feedback. So the next range will be, let's say 70. And then this is what I can do is, here are some resources for additional practice. I could link to some additional widgets. I could add in links to other web pages if they needed to go to that, in addition to, again, having the multimedia. And then what's great about this is when students submit their work, they will automatically be delivered this feedback, and you can, again, set them on a path of learning, in addition to giving them, you know, some confirmation and some resources. All right, we're almost done, folks. I have lots of stuff in this webinar today. And some handy links to give you. We have support at bookwidgets.com is always a great place to go. If you ever have a question, you can always email us. Our webinar page lets you sign up for webinars that are in Dutch, English, French, and German. Our tutorials and knowledge bases are also great resources, that Facebook group. And of course, I've mentioned the blog and the blog group within BookWidgets. So